start at, what did I just say? 13 plus 5. Alright guys, so I'm working on a project today and I almost completely forgot to start recording it. As you can see, the hood is off of our Slam Chrysler project here. The hood's off. Why is the hood off? So we're going to be working on DIY hood vents. So welcome to the race trailer. My name's Dustin with Hard Cruise Racing. And like always, we work on all sorts of weird, strange, and dumb projects because, why not? And one of the biggest things with working on weird projects is the fact that we do not have endless wallet space. By that, I mean it's empty. The wallet, it's empty. So we're going to do DIY stuff because DIY stuff's fun, right? So, usually, and I say usually I walk over the camera and you get to hear my voice and I talk and never shut up and then we never get anything done. So we're not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to set the camera down and say a few things. We're going to get to work. It's funner that way, right? Now, before we start, I'm just going to do a quick walk around. First things first, I did these measurements while they were on the hood. I followed the body line with the first one piece of tape. You can see I followed that body line. Then there's a crease down the center, so I did each side of that. Then I followed this body line. Now, I decided, instead of doing a shit ton of measurements, I was going to go tape width. As you can see, I went right next to the first piece of tape with the second piece of tape. And I did the same thing here. Then I decided I wanted to set in a little bit more off of this body line. So I went off with the third piece of tape. Now what this is going to do is when I cut my vents, they're going to follow the body. It's not just going to be weird. It's not going to look random. It's going to follow the body lines. That's important. Next thing I did is I need to take my measurements. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This measurement from here to here is going to be different than this measurement from here to here. It's going to, I mean, it might be different than, you know, this measurement. You never know. So when you're doing something like this, especially if it's not all straight lines, you gotta be careful. What I decided to do was, well, this first measurement's 8 inches, but I decided to scrap that. We're gonna go to 13. But what I did is I took my measurement here, and I took my measurement here, and I went with a straight edge across the whole thing. That's how I did my lines. Now what that does mean is it might be a little off, but that's okay, because that's what I wanted to do. You could do those measurements, you know, let's just say, for example, 13 here, 15 here, and do your vent sideways. Or, you know, if you want to do a curve, find something that's curved and use the same thing over and over and over again. Don't try to eyeball it. Now, the reason I scrapped my 8-inch line and I went to 13, if we come over to this side, is you can see my front brace. Comes back about 12 inches. You could cut through that. I chose not to. I want to just start behind that. And then, obviously, my stop point was up here. So what I did is I took my 13-inch mark and I took a line that I drew here, which I just set my ruler on top of, or between these 2 points, and then drew my line all the way across. That gave me a baseline. So I took my measurements and I decided, I played around with some sizes. That's the first thing I did. As you can see, there's, I decided I was going to go with a 3-inch. Now originally I'd thought about maybe I'll do a 3-inch between each vent. And you can see that mark there, and I thought, let's cut it back to 2. So we're going to do 3-inch vents, 2 inches between each one, which will actually look a little bit bigger because, you know, when the vent bends over. And that's my display. So I took my measurement, I set my ruler here, and I came back and I came to here and I said, within those, how many 3 and 2s, which is 5, 3 plus 2 is 5, so how many 5-inch spots do I have? And I have 3, which ultimately equals 4 vents. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then that goes to my line right here, which shows where these are, or about 1 inch off from there, which is our max. Now, I'm gonna get to work. So I'm gonna break something. So, as these discs start to wear out like this along the edge, they drag and they slow down, and then Instead of having these nice clean cuts where, you know, there's no real jumping around. They're pretty clean. You know, I'm going to trim that up. But you jump out of your cut and nick your edge. I'm going to paint this section right here anyways. But that's frustrating. So, yeah, don't let a however many cent cutoff wheel irritate you this much. Just replace it. They don't cost anything. Just replace it. There's a second brace in there that I gotta go in and cut out. Now if you want to avoid that, start down here. Start at that, what is that? I said we're at 13 to start out, plus 3 inches for that first vent. So if you don't want to deal with this main brace that's right there, start at 18 inches. You're 18 to up here, wherever that's at. There's no major braces there. But yeah. Alright, we're back. We're going to get the rest of this cut out. I think I'm going to go a little bit higher, up more towards the seam, and then I'm going to, you can see where I was cutting up, and here's my cut, and then I kind of cut back, so I'm going to cut that out a little bit more, so I can cut this brace out. And you can see the brace comes right from the hood up here, I ought to be able to cut all that out. So that's the plan. Alright guys, you can start to see that coming together. Now, the biggest issue for me is the bracing on the inside of the hood. I'm going to clean up these edges and I'm probably going to edge trim them. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even recording and I was talking to the camera. Alright, so I just want to take a moment to look at these. So I scored a line across there before I folded them over to try to get a straighter line. And you can kind of see it, but I'm not on the line. So this one's a little bit off the line. This one starts down off the line and then comes up almost to the line. But they're all about the same distance from the line except for this one. This one doesn't look great. That's my fault. But I'm going to paint over this anyways. It shouldn't look too bad, and I'm also going to edge trim the upper edge. So I'm going to clean this up right now. I'm going to sand it down. My phone battery's getting low and my phone storage is getting low, so I'm going to get a piece of sandpaper, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go around this edge and clean it up. Over that line, that crease where it's actually folded down, because the paint is cracked in there. But ultimately it came out great. I'm going to put a few pictures up here of how it looks on the car. I still only have the one side done. Weather and the fact I got to get something out for our customers push me back, but
ultimately I'm happy with it, especially for not costing me a single penny. Well, cut off wheel and the price of the wheels themselves, so a few bucks here and there, but stuff you should already have. But, you know, have fun.